Security Minister Damian Hinds will have been listening to that. We've got lots to talk to you about this morning, Mr. Hinds, including, of course, the situation surrounding Ukraine. But shall we start with the thing that's preoccupying a lot of people's minds this morning, and that's Storm Eunice? I understand that Cobra are going to be meeting.
Yeah, Cobra have been convened about making sure the readiness is in place for this storm. Obviously, it comes right on the back of Storm Dudley. We've had to learn a lot of lessons from previous events, from Storm Arwen and others. There are troops, as you know, at readiness if needed, if military assistance is called for. The Environment Agency, of course, on the ground. The network operators themselves are also in readiness. But the weather, by definition, although we have better forecasting, better science than ever we've had before, the weather does remain, I'm afraid, unpredictable. And it's really, really important, obviously, the big message, and you've just been giving it out as well. The big message is to take sensible precautions and let's all stay safe.
There's a lot of flood warnings, along the River Severn this morning, and I know that a lot of viewers will be watching worried about that. Can you assure them or reassure them that there will be support available for anybody that is affected by the flooding? It happens consistently, doesn't it, unfortunately, along that stretch of the country, and they've been through this before.
Yeah, they have, and when communities are affected by floods, I mean, it can be absolutely awful, as we all know. I do know the Environment Agency are very, very, acutely aware of these issues and are out and about, and I know we'll be doing all that they can, both to fight off the immediate effects, but also it's really important for them and for others. All the different agencies to make sure that the support is there, the contactability is there, the communication is there for customers and those affected.
Very unusual to have a red warning here in the UK. Even more unusual to have two. I can't remember it, actually. But what will be the trigger for calling in the army? You said it's there if needed. What, in the government view, as it were, is the trigger for getting them in?
Well, we have a whole sort of what's called the Civil Contingencies Secretariat and the Civil Contingencies Framework, which is there. Cobra is, of course, kind of at the very sort of pinnacle of it, to be able to make those decisions. The important thing is that they are there, and of course they have expertise in a lot of relevant disciplines around engineering, civil engineering, and of course just coming to the aid of people in need. So if needed, they are there.
OK, we'll leave Storm Eunice there, if we may, and come on to another very important topic for you and for everybody this morning, of course, which is the situation in Ukraine. US President Joe Biden is warning that the threat of attack by the Russians is now very high. We've sort of been on tenterhooks, haven't we, for the last week or so. It does feel like we are moving more and more towards that. There was some incidents of shelling yesterday, both sides sort of suggesting it would come from the Ukrainians or it come from rebels backed by the Russians. How concerned are you about what we saw yesterday and this escalating things to the point where the Russians will move in and attack Ukraine?
So, I mean, extremely concerned, obviously, as we all are. It might be imminent. It might take longer. We need to be ready whenever. And you mentioned the shelling, the kindergarten, and so-called false flag incidents. This is a particular feature of sort of modern conflict in which the Putin regime is a world leader. Seeding different bits of disinformation about what is claimed to have happened that could then be a pretext, some sort of spurious justification for what follows. And we need to be really, really alive to that, and to have our defence up to make sure we don't always take things at face value. But as that incident shows, in the pursuit of such a false flag, piece of disinformation, actually there can be very real world consequences. A very dangerous thing.
We saw that the MOD Twitter account not long after that posted some information about what the government believes the Russians are planning on doing. That's a step that we've not seen previously and was quite compelling to watch. Is that part of the strategy now from the government's perspective to make sure you can combat what you're seeing from Russia with our own information for the people that can follow that account and get access to it?
Yeah, I think that, I mean, it's a reflection of that we are in a different era where people, regimes, in this case, the Putin regime in Russia, will use information and disinformation in new and very innovative ways for its own ends, and we have to make sure we counter that. Sometimes that's through kind of official news channels and putting out, news bulletins and footage, but it can also happen through your social media account. Has happened through people's social media accounts in the past, and so we all need to be very conscious about who might be pulling those strings, what people might be trying to make us believe, or sometimes just trying to confuse us by having so many conflicting accounts, so many different explanations of what's going on and what has happened, that people are left wondering, oh, well, maybe there's something more to this than meets the eye. We just need to be aware.
It's a concern of how we've got ourselves into this mess, isn't it? Is it that we are playing ball, in a sense, dancing to Putin's tune by allowing him to hold everybody in sway? Or did the rot set in a lot earlier? All sorts of accusations, including from Keir Starmer, that there's members of the government, there's members in the UK that have been taking Russian money for a long time. I've got some lists of specific people, but I'm sure you know them anyway. And that in some way, we've allowed ourselves to be held sway.
So, no, we are absolutely clear. We stand shoulder to shoulder with our friends in Ukraine, and we and like-minded nations are ready with economic sanctions and other related actions to make sure that there would be a real and direct cost, significant to this kind of atrocity, this action, if it were to happen. But it doesn't have to happen. It is entirely with Vladimir Putin to pull back. There is a diplomatic route available. As long as people are talking, there doesn't have to be an attack, and we encourage Mr. Putin to take that opportunity.
OK, Damian Hinds, appreciate your time this morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.